Hello, my beautiful friends and my fellow space blobs. Welcome back to this space. If you are new here, my name is Sarah, and we take our time unfolding and leaning into the richness of archetypes, energy, astrology, tarot, taking it out of that pop culture boxed format where it's all about the superficial performance, bringing it back into some deeper, richer wisdom, feeling safe in this space, and really reclaiming all of these tools for the sensitive spirits that we are. And I'm just so excited to have you here, whether you have just joined me today or you have been with me on this journey for a little while. It means so much to me. And as you can probably tell, I'm in this very reflective mood. I'm thinking a lot about the journey over the last several years and just where I am in life right now. I'm visiting some family as I sit for this chat and reflecting on how much I have changed and grown. And so I'm feeling a little bit tender today. I'm feeling a little bit shaken by some deeper conversations I've been having and just recognizing all of that change in myself. So we'll see how we move through this beautiful Virgo new moon conversation, but I'm really excited to share it with you. So let's get into what this new moon is all about and how to work with it. So the Virgo new moon is happening September 14th into the 15th, and it is going to be at 21 degrees of Virgo where the sun and moon meet up. And this is such a beautiful new moon every year. Whenever I think about Virgo energy, if you watched my Virgo season video or you watched my Mercury retrograde in Virgo video, you know that I have a very strong feeling about this mutable earth sign. It isn't just about control and making lists and being perfect and on top of it all of the time and being neurotic. Virgo energy is the mutable earth sign, which means that we are weaving together all the parts of ourselves and modulating into new forms. Virgo energy is also about devotion and giving and healing. Virgo energy carries so much within it, including a belonging to oneself and an understanding that when we light that inner lantern of belonging to ourselves, that is the light that will carry us through the mysteries of the world. And the more we devote to that intuitive spiritual process, the more that life becomes possible to move through, because so much happens in life that feels impossible. As humans, we move through things that are just so hard, and that lantern of belonging to ourselves is so important. So this new moon lights that up. I also have to advocate for Virgo here because Virgo is one of the most intuitive energies we can work with. So a new moon in this sign is going to be highlighting clarity of sight, knowing, deep awareness, and an ability to kind of have some breakthroughs and some clarity coming through at this time. So you may find you're able to see really clearly during this new moon. Maybe you'll have a new perspective or breakthrough during this new moon that allows you to understand a situation or how you've changed in a really profound way. You may also have just a new insight, new ideas coming through, new creative ventures moving through. This new moon is also happening right as Mercury stations direct and just a couple of weeks after Virgo stationed. Venus station direct. So this new moon is also holding a place of culmination and understanding how we have changed over the last couple of months, the whole process moving through some very intimate and creative retrogrades with Venus and Mercury. So this new moon is also a little bit retrospective in thinking about what the last 2 months have brought about for you and how that has changed the way that you are tending to your inner lantern, belonging to yourself, and possibly connecting with your intuition. But of course, this new moon is also in conversation with a couple of really interesting energies that add so many layers to this particular moment of birthing and planting new seeds. The first conversation that comes up is that this new moon is trining our friend Uranus in Taurus. And that I'm so excited about it because I love a good trine with Uranus right now. So often when we're talking about Uranus over there in Taurus, you'll hear a lot of conversations that are about the disruption. how Uranus is about disruption and causing a little bit of chaos and how everything kind of running amok. That's always kind of the way we hear about this energetic, right? That's the first thing you hear. But Uranus is also about the curiosity and the joy of change. And what happens when we change? What happens when we try something different? What happens when we turn something on its side? What happens when we turn it upside down? What happens when we aren't just following the same path every day, but we just try this little detour over here? Uranus is very invested in what it looks like when we make change. I think in a fixed earth sign like Taurus as well, this is about sustaining change over a long period of time. So rather than trying to burn down our whole lives in order to get that, kind of disruptive change that maybe we're longing for, Uranus and Taurus is like, how do we implement those little curious changes in our day-to-day life? How do we implement it into a long sustained process? So this trine with the new moon in Virgo is really a supportive moment of understanding and acknowledging how we've changed, how we're not just going to go back to the same form that we were a couple years ago or even 6 months ago, and getting curious about what is to come, getting curious about how we can change. This brings me to the next conversation in this new moon, which is that this new moon is loosely opposing Neptune in Pisces. Really interesting lighting up of the Virgo-Pisces axis, which is so much about spiritual connection. That's really the core of the Virgo Pisces energetic. So here during this new moon, we are continuing to activate our devotion and our love of the spiritual. But this opposition is also about what dreams are longing to come into the physical world with us, and how we can start to facilitate a conversation between that dream world and our physical body. And that's another conversation that's going on during this Virgo new moon. Now, all of this that I've just been saying, which is a lot of information, is kind of coalescing in a couple of ways that I think are really interesting. One is that this is a new moon to really notice how you're dreaming. Do you have dreams, or do you have rules about how you dream? Do you have ways that you think you're allowed to dream and ways that you are not allowed to dream? A lot of us will have very sneaky rules about this. For example, we might have a dream about a specific living situation or creative project or any other scenario that we have come up with over the last few years, but we've changed a little bit and maybe we don't feel the same connection with it, but it feels like a betrayal of a vision if we allow ourselves to shift our dreaming a little bit, shift our vision a little bit, listen to how we have changed and listen to those intuitive knowings that say it's okay to shift out of certain formats of expression. I think the other place that we can sometimes have rules around our dreaming and ways that we kind of hold on to certain formats for our dreaming is we may say, well, I'm not allowed to dream like that. I'm not allowed to dream in that direction or at that capacity because it's just too much. It's too much for me to open myself to the possibility of that version of dreaming. So this is also a really wonderful new moon to think about where you feel you're not allowed to dream or shift your dreaming, and just to notice any rules or restrictions you may have around the way you dream. This is a new moon to allow yourself to dream a little bit differently and to open yourself up to that. This is a new moon to also re-devote yourself to that inner lantern, take care of it, take care of your relationship to your intuition, to your self-trust, and really leaning into that and just acknowledging the power and the potency of taking care of that inner lantern, of taking care of that inner belonging, of taking care of those dreams that are longing to come through us and into the body, because this is a new moon where new dreams and new visions are longing for space to be welcomed into the physical plane, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be felt, to be experienced, to be enjoyed. So really at the heart of it, this new moon is about giving ourselves enough space to let those visions and those dreams and those longings be heard, be seen, be honored, and begin the process of integrating them into our next chapter, into our next iteration. And that is really an acknowledgement that this is our first new moon post Venus retrograde, and this is a new moon happening right as Mercury stations direct. It holds this special place of entering into a new creative cycle. And in order to do that, we're going to have to take care of the parts of ourselves that are trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us rules, keep us rigid, keep us pragmatic, keep us on the day-to-day. But this new moon is inviting us into the spiritual space and saying this is just as valid, this is just as important, this is just as mature, this is just as responsible to really honor and take care of our intuition, our inner lantern, our inner belonging, and our sense of spirit in everything. And I think for me, that's probably my favorite thing about this new moon, is it's just so supportive of that energetic quality. So let's see what intuitive messages want to come through. The Hermit. It is the card of Virgo. And this is always a symbol that I think about every day of my life. I think the Hermit. I know often people see this and think it's about retreating to your house and just staying in your room for a season of life. But for me, it's never been that. For me, this is about the adventure that happens when we light that inner lantern and we get curious about ourselves in this moment now, and we agree to go on that adventure. We agree to go be curious and see what is there. It is the greatest adventure of all, and it may include times of quiet and introspection and finding greater comfort in being able to be with ourselves and sitting with those questions. But it will also involve bringing in dreams that feel a little different, that feel outside of the rules of our family of origin or from our trauma from earlier years where dreaming like that wasn't allowed. It may take us on a journey to new environments, new relationships, and new creative ventures that were beyond whatever we thought of ourselves as this is who I am. The Hermit allows us to access all the questions about what it means to be who we are. What does that even mean? And to devote ourselves to a life that is full of spirit in everything that we do, in all the ways that we move through it. So this is just one of my favorite energies, and it really, really encapsulates what this new moon in Virgo is all about. Let's see what else wants to come out with this particular conversation. 9 of Pentacles, and let's pull one more to go along with that. 9 of Pentacles is such an interesting card, and it also really ties in with a lot of the Virgo energetics. 3 of Pentacles. All right, all earth energy in this reading. Unsurprisingly, we have a lot of earth energy moving at this time. So we just talked about the Hermit. Now the 9 of Pentacles is so interesting. I know often we'll hear this talked about as Little Miss Independent, and a very kind of individualistic energy. But the thing with the 9 of Pentacles person here is this is somebody who has devoted some time and cared what they value the most. They have, often that word sacrifice will come up, but they may have put things that didn't align with their core values on the back burner because they knew that that wasn't what they were here to do. And I think for me, when I see this, it's like taking enough of that moment to acknowledge that what we care about is what we care about, and to really say that and let ourselves feel that and know that is so powerful. And I think it's a journey we have to take on our own. Nobody else is going to give us the permission to value art more than housework. Nobody else is going to give us the permission to value, extra sleep over being somebody who gets up and goes to the gym at 5 a.m. We all are going to have our own thing, but the 9 of Pentacles is the empowerment of honoring whatever it is that means something to us and letting ourselves feel devoted to it. And I think that is such a beautiful energy that is subtle in a way and also really helpful. And you can kind of see both of these figures are connected to something, a deep knowing inside of themselves about the path that they're on, and just letting themselves care for those dreams and visions. And then finally, we have Three of Pentacles, which is such a great energy. And I think it's a reminder. A lot of this conversation has been about our own individual experiencing the spiritual through our individual exploration of what it means to be an individual, and how we burnish that inner lantern and enter into our deeper wisdom, and how we have to kind of choose that for each of ourselves and all of that. But the Three of Pentacles is a reminder that we don't have to do this alone. And I think just as a new moon cycle is beginning here and we're moving through this, that there's an opportunity here for connection with people that share and will help us with our dreams. And that as we light our lantern, as we connect to that lantern, as we create devotion for that, those community members, those friends, those people, those connections will become more vivid as well and will be a part of the process. And I think that's such a beautiful reminder that in choosing our light, we're not stepping over other people. We're able to connect more deeply with who really wants to come into our lives and the projects and the processes that really want to move in as well. And overall, this is just a very visionary new moon. I'm going to be walking my patrons through a visualization and meditation for this new moon, and it's going to have a lot of help for us when it comes to some of our more rigid dreaming paths, opening those up and feeling that spaciousness. So I'm really looking forward to doing that and creating that space. I would love to see you over on my Patreon. We have so many good things, including you could watch the entire Alchemy of Venus retrograde series right now. It's out and you could binge watch the entire 7-part series over there. You can join us in October. We are going to be doing a 4-week series where we are learning to connect with spirit and intuition again and getting really deep into that beautiful mystery of life. I'm going to be walking us through that for the whole of October, so I'd love to see you over there for that. Of course, I love it when you stick around here. Every time I read the comments or connect in this space, I just feel so grateful for this little part of the internet, this little corner of the world that we've created here. It makes me so happy. And of course, you can find me on my Instagram or my website. So I'll leave all that info in the description box if you're interested in any of it. And I will be talking to you all very soon for our next conversation. We've got so much coming up, including Libra season and a whole bunch of new energetics. So I will talk to you all very soon. Let me know how your Virgo new moon is feeling.